So today's topic for No Man's Sky Gaming XO, let's go! XO stands for Exocraft, in case you're wondering what that stands for. Here I am in my Exocraft, taking it out for a spin just outside my home base. And so I start cruising around here, and I come to this water, and I go, I wonder if it can go in the water without causing damage or something. And so I'm really pleasantly surprised. This thing is really pretty cool. I mean, it doesn't do too well, as you'll see coming up in really, really deep water. You'll see some issues. I show some issues I have with it, so it's not necessarily geared for going like real deep, and that's probably why they created the little submarine thing. I haven't acquired that just yet. And so if you watched my base building episode, I didn't complete the access tunnel to get to my my Exocraft parking, and so here I show the finished ramp up, out of that cave in which my base is down there. And there's that little divot right there, and so I use the Terran manipulator in create mode to cover up that divot, because I don't want the Exocraft to get stuck or get hung up there, and so I stick a little mound of dirt over there. And initially, I really don't have too many problems, but because the cave, the sides of the cave are dug out on this particular access, they're dug out deeper on some sides, and so I'm contemplating that I may add a wall on both sides of that stairwell to aid my Exocraft, going up and going down. Because as you'll see coming up in the video, I drive down this and I kind of get hung up a little bit because some of the cave, juts out, and so the Exocraft tends to want to go, in places where it can fit, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. And that's the little module in which you park the Exocraft on. And if you lose your Exocraft, you can go to that little base module and get it to reappear over there. So, if you do get it stuck, that's one way to get it unstuck. And so here I'm cruising around and just testing the Exocraft out and driving a bit deeper. And this is where, I'm not sure if this is where, I know it's coming up, but and so I'm just cruising around testing it out. And I've since upgraded it. When they give it to you, it doesn't have as much acceleration, there's no boost, so on and so forth. And so a lot of these things, and then the weaponry is really just low level. It's really just got a shooter on there, and so I've updated it. It's got a laser now, and it's got a cannon on it. And you see here, you're diving down, and it really goes much slower too, if you're underwater. And you can see here where the front end doesn't want to go to the ground, and so you kind of got it takes a lot of time. And maneuvering it isn't like driving a vehicle, like if you've played these other games like Grand Theft Auto, Far Cry, things of that nature, where you're driving vehicles around. The way to drive around in it is completely different. And so the next 2 minutes, this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to know how to do this, you want to learn how to do this on your own, you want to skip ahead to 6 minutes 5 seconds. Skip ahead 2 minutes, 6 minutes 5 seconds, and you'll avoid me giving away this info. If not, you can watch it. So basically what I find out is that there's some kind of force field around this clamshell. And so initially, I try various things, in order to try to get the pearl, but and so if you're just swimming around and you try to get it, you're probably not going to be able to get it, because basically what happens, you open it up, once it opens up, it pushes you back, and then you're back so far to where you can't it's very hard. And then to be able to get it to begin with, you got to get that little dot reticule thing, your aimer, positioned on it in order to be able to get it anyway. And so as you'll see here, I basically fidget around with the Exocraft to see, if there's some other means, like maybe just, blasting it and seeing if I can blow away the shell, but that doesn't seem to be an option. And so that's basically what I show here, is that I just demonstrate, what I do to try to figure out how it is that I can maneuver to be able to get to it. And, at this point I have so much armor on me that even if it does clamp down on me, it won't kill me. It will affect my shield level to some point, but not so bad. And so I just position the Exocraft real close, get up in there, and then just exit the Exocraft in order to get the living pearl. So that's that. And so this is my base, and this is how I demonstrate going down trying to park the Exocraft. And you can see it kind of gets hung up on the side, and so I'm really considering building walls down the sides to kind of aid to where it doesn't do what it's doing here, because turning it really doesn't turn like you would think, and it's more geared toward where you're looking. So if you turn the camera, then the Exocraft just goes there. So if you recall the last episode, I talked about this free A-class ship that's underwater. Here I finally go over there to grab it, and I basically exchanged it for a damaged ship that was on my freighter. And here I am flying back to space station, because I don't have it fully fixed up yet. So the last thing I want to do is fight pirates or anything like that. And so I fly to this spaceship, and this is basically to warp back to my freighter, because I'm quite a distance away, and I don't believe I've got the hyperdrive fixed at this point. And so I go to one of these warp portals, and I warp back to so here I am back on my freighter, and I start walking around. I'm saying, uh-oh, where are all my spaceships? These dirty rascals took all my spaceships. So at this point I'm thinking, wow, I guess it didn't matter that I took something over there that was damaged, because they wound up taking everything from me. I look around, there isn't nothing. There's nothing on my freighter. I'm going, what the heck, man? That's not very nice. They could have at least warned me that, hey, if you grab this A-class ship, we're going to take everything from you. But no, they just take it from me. And so to show my disdain, I start doing a few gestures here. Start getting sick to my stomach. But then a few moments later, I come back to my freighter, and all my ships are back. So I guess maybe the gestures may have worked. All the getting sick to my stomach gestures may have worked, and they felt guilty about taking all my ships from me. And so everything is A-okay. I've got all my ships back. Sentinel War. And so here I am beating up on these tin cans. And obviously, the smaller ones, I mean, the upgraded cannons on the Exocraft really just demolish them. I mean, it really doesn't take much. And the dog, I mean, the little dog Sentinel really isn't too bad either. It really takes it out pretty quick. But once I get to this next level of fighting this walking around tin can, this guy is pretty tough to beat. But the maneuverability with the Exocraft and being able to run from them is somewhat of an advantage, because but obviously you gotta stay out of that laser. And if you look to the upper left hand corner, you'll see that my shield gets depleted. The last thing I want to do is have that depleted, because then damage is going to start occurring to my Exocraft. It won't necessarily kill you, But if your exocraft goes down, then you have, in order to be able to move, you got to get out of your exocraft, and then they come hunting after you and your person. And and obviously, if they damage your exocraft and you've got a bunch of materials on your exocraft, you're going to lose everything. Plus, you're going to have damage done to whatever ship you're in. And I play this in survival mode, which is the second hardest level. You've got permadeath, survivor, and then I think they have a more easier way to play the game. But when I play a game, I want somewhat of a challenge. I don't want it to be just so easy walk in the park type thing. Because I'm playing it more or less for somewhat of a challenge. But I've played permadeath, and it's just permadeath is just way too hard. So, but survival mode to me isn't that bad. Some may find it too hard, but anyways, here I am beating up on this guy, and a few tricks to this. If you notice, I'm firing up at the upper level, and I'm really not doing much of nothing to him. And so it, and while I'm knocking, points off of him, that's one way to tell if you're doing damage to him or not, is if, points are flying through the air. It's showing, that you're damaging something at least. But it just appears that the best way for me going forward is to basically attack him lower and knock his shielding off lower. And I'm not sure at this point. I mean, this is really probably one of the longest bouts. It almost looks like he tries to step on me right there. So I don't know. I mean, it's really a challenge to beat this guy. I mean, and I really don't edit out too much in this video content. So I mean, there's a little bit that I edit out from where I'm going down, to replenish my shields, because that's kind of boring. I'm sitting there hiding from them for, because it takes usually 10 to 15 seconds for your shields to replenish. And his laser just cut through me like butter. I mean, you can see it doesn't take much. And so I continue to whack off his armor on his legs, and for whatever reason, that really just seems to give me some ability to try to defeat this thing. And and obviously, if you let that sentinel clock go down, then he'll disappear, and then you have to start all over. So you don't want to let that sentinel clock run down, otherwise you won't get the chance to defeat him. And so that's the other part of this, is that it's kind of like a cat and mouse game, trying to fight him. Here you can see I finally got all the shields off of his legs. And then you can see that that little bar has finally appeared and is showing just a minor amount of damage at this point. And I mean, this is probably at least a good 6 minutes to 8 minutes in. And I mean, there's so many things that you have to think about while doing this. I mean, you're not only thinking about trying to beat them, but you're thinking about your shields, you're thinking about your energy to power your exocraft, because see, all this time I'm worried about my shields, I'm worried about the power used to drive your exocraft. If you run out of materials in order to fuel it and you get stuck, I mean, you're in deep caca. You're in deep caca, to say the least. And so here you can see that I'm finally starting to make some headway and knocking some of his armor off and depleting his health. You can see that little bar is getting more and more black. It's just a continual game of cat and mouse, and I use that water as basically a place to hide from them. But there's sections in here where he can, if he knows where I'm at and I'm in that water, he can shoot his laser and he can still hit you. So just being in the water isn't necessarily safety, from his laser or cannons or whatever he's using to shoot at you. And so I continue going on, and and here I finally get to the point where I can defeat this overgrown tin can. And I really wished that I would have got out right here, because you've only got like a few, like 7 seconds or so until the next fleet of Sentinels are going to arrive. I should have gotten out and seen, because I think there's like a Walker brain or something in that. And because I didn't get out, and these new Sentinels come, you know, the old Sentinel, because I actually went back, and the dead Sentinel was all gone, and so. But you know, those new Sentinels come in. You can see I almost died right there. My shields were very, very low, and so I dropped down, and by this time I don't have enough resources to defeat this other wave. And so that's basically where I stall out at that point. So I thought I'd end this video as I normally do, with a nice scenic view. This scenic view is on my home base planet, the same planet in which I was fighting these Sentinels. And so I'm considering at the present time that I may extend my base further on out, overlooking this valley. So I thought I'd wrap the video up here. And I'd also like to tell everyone that there's plenty of treks across this galaxy to go. So if you'd like to be notified when I post my next video, please subscribe. Thanks again for watching. This is Mental Vacation, signing off. Brought to you by Mental Vacation, in association with Ray TV.